language and how it affects our processing and our thoughts and cognitive stuff. The reason why I entitled it Rose-Colored Glasses is because a little idiom describes kind of seeing through something through a lens and seeing it through only everything in red. Like best quote I can give you is when you look at red flags through rose-colored glasses, all the flags are the same. I'm going to start off with a little bit of background for our first author, Lara Boroditsky. She is from Stanford University. She's a cognitive psychologist. She does a lot of work on how language affects our cognitive processes. And first article. Lara Boroditsky did an article discussing the differences in temporal metaphors used both in English and in Mandarin speakers. This is the first one. This is English speakers' perception of time. They look at time more of a horizontal kind of linear horizontal direction. So if I were you, to the left of me would be the past, the right of me would be what do we call it? The future. And the words that are used, and specifically in English, is forward and backward, which is still a horizontal direction. What's interesting about Mandarin, though, is that not only do they use those words before and after, forward and backward, they also use up and down, because the way that they describe, or the way they perceive time is actually vertical. So you can see right here, the going up is actually going in the past, as described earlier, and going down is actually later. What Lara Boroditsky did is a little bit of experiment with this. What she did is she asked her speakers of both Mandarin and English, after these spatial primers, both horizontal spatial primer and a vertical spatial primer, to answer the following questions about what month comes before or after which, to test their cognitive processing speeds. Now, for, English speakers, she gave this to see if they could, this spatial primer and this spatial primer before each set of questions, to see how they could, how fast they could actually answer the questions. If you notice, these not only, differentiate both in visually, but they also differentiate in both visually and by the word itself. They use words such as ahead and above. Her results showed that English speakers should actually process things faster after the horizontal primer, which makes sense. That was her hypothesis. Since English speakers see in horizontally, that's what they knew that those probably, or they didn't know, they hypothesized that that was going to be the results. The same goes for the Mandarin speakers. Vertical primers made them faster at answering questions about vertical calendars and such. So yeah. What this is actually the second article to complicate this concept of language affecting how you perceive things. Tiffany West and Patricia Bauer are from the Institute of Child Development. They looked at maternal styles, maternal narratives that were taught to children, not only showing that language itself can affect a person's perception of something, but also the individual's specific narrative style, learned through the mothers, which is actually within one language. Now, maternal narrative styles, as I'm best described in this photo, is kind of like describing an event, and the way that you use both your hands, the way you speak, the way you describe the event through grammar, imagery, such. The child right here is clearly listening to the mother, and the mother is actually using a specific hand signal to describe an event. Some mothers may use this, others won't. But the way the child learns from this is what she will likely use in the future to describe events. So on this scale, I call it microscale of language learning, not only within multiple languages, but within the language itself, can a person have a specific way of perceiving something. West and Bauer also discuss ASL users, American Sign Language users. They describe that American Sign Language users are more attuned to seeing the emotional information from an event. So like their emotional perception is heightened, so they can basically describe all things like a lamp falling down, but not necessarily who did it or what had occurred beforehand, because they see just the motion of the event, not just the emotion. They just pay attention more to that. They have a heightened perception of that, and that's connected solely based on studies. ASL, or how they are taught to describe an event, which is purely through emotional language-based system. Here's a picture. I'm gonna give you 5 seconds to look at it. And you are done. What did you remember? Do you remember the colors, the interaction between the people, the shape of the building that they're in, the hand motions, or all of this? A lot of people here today will probably pick out one of these and focus a little bit more on that, or they might focus on all of these. It depends very much about how you can re-describe what you just saw. And from the evidence from each and every one of you, you all saw something different, and you all paid attention to something different. And from Lara Baratitsky and Tiffany Weston Bauer and Patricia Bauer, they kind of give an explanation as to why that is. Even within the same language, you probably wouldn't see the same thing, you probably wouldn't pay attention to the same thing. Because not only does the language affect how you perceive something, but the specific maternal narrative styles that you learn from your childhood actually affects what you perceive most. And so from that, both these articles and these authors show that not only do the language affects how you think, but it affects everything you perceive. It has a huge influence on your cognitive ability and what you actually pay attention to most.